Hi everyone. So this is my third attempt at this presentation, just to try and improve the quality of it. I don't think the first two videos were great, so hopefully this will be a little bit better. We'll see how it goes. So what I'd like to talk to you about in this next 15-20 minutes is extracts 1 and 2 of the OCR June 2015 pre-release material and exam, which will obviously stem from that. The date of the exam is the 11th of June 2015. So, I'd just like to start off by talking a little bit about the directive words which are used by the exam board in the exam paper. As you'll know, the general structure of the exam paper does not change from one year until the next, and so what question 1A is normally a define question, an explain question, or a distinguish between question. Usually if it's a define question, you'll have two definitions to give for 2 marks each. An explain question tends to be 4 marks, and a distinguish between also tends to be 2 definitions for 2 marks each. 1B always tends to be the analysis question for 6 marks, and 1C also then tends to be a comment question for 10 marks. That structure is then repeated in question 2. So questions 2A, 2B, 2C follow the same structure, and then the last question, question 3, is always the essay question, and that is worth 20 marks. So how do we map, or certainly how have the exam board in the past mapped the actual exam paper questions against the pre-release material? Well, first of all, the questions do tend to flow in the order of the extracts. So extract 1 will feature questions 1A and 1B possibly, extract 2 will feature question 1C, extract 3 question 2A, etc. So they tend to flow through the extract material, and therefore that makes it possible for us to ascertain and have a little bit of a guesstimation as to what the questions will be. Given the extract material that you have got, I would say that extract 1 will be a define question for 4 marks, but also given the length of the extract, it wouldn't be unreasonable to assume that you'll also get an analysis question, and that'll be worth 6 marks. Extract 2 will be your 1C, because of course we're saying that the questions tend to flow in the order of the extracts, and that'll be worth 10 marks. And then extracts, from that we would say extract 3 will be our 2A, so that's sort of back to the format, define, analyse, comment. So the first one being define for 4 marks. Possibly you'll get an analyse question for 6 marks on that extract. If not, the analyse question 2B will come from extract 4, as probably the comment question will come from that as well, and then that obviously leaves extract 5 for the essay question. So let's just have a little bit of a consideration as to what questions you can be asked. The exam board, OCR, they do provide a lot of help, a lot of structure here, and what you need to do is you need to look at the specification and just look at the section on it which says what candidates should know. So if I just bring that specification up, you need to be looking on the right hand side. You can see here in this highlighted section it says candidates should be able to, and the exam board can only ask you to do the things which are highlighted on the right hand side. So for example, it says here describe and understand the different stages of the economic cycle. Now because it only says describe, that means that the exam board cannot ask you, for instance, to analyse, to define, to comment, to discuss, unless of course that appears elsewhere in the specification. But if it just says describe and understand, that's all you're expected to be able to do. So that's a great, it's a great guide really as to questions which you might be asked. There is also other help available, obviously, and there are some commercially produced toolkits and commentaries. Tutor to You, I'm sure some of you will have heard of before, and they produce a commentary as well, so you can buy it on their website. APT's another useful one. I would say with all of these guides, do take them with a pinch of salt. There's often a lot of background material which you don't really need for the exam, but they can be useful if you know what you're looking for. So, considering what's on extract 1, and if I just bring that up, extract 1, as we can see here, UK enters the recovery phase of the economic cycle. So extract 1 is basically split into two halves. The first two paragraphs here are talking and identifying all the plus points with regards to the UK's recovery, and it's very upbeat in its analysis. But then the following comments by the three commentators, John Van Reenen, David Blanchflower and Liam Halligan, they're all quite negative in their responses. So it's basically you've got a plus side, you've got a negative side. Potential questions. Have a look at the candidates should be able to section of the specification. Read the extract and then consider what you could be asked. So given that extract 1, it's all about the economic cycle and so on. So if you go to the specification, just bring that up again. Here's your specification. You can see the spec is split into a section on macro performance, a section on trade and integration, a section on development and sustainability, and a section on the economics of globalization. Now, having read extract 1 fits into this section here on macro performance. We then need to look at this section here, candidates should be able to, and then we need to find, first of all, potential 4-mark questions. And as we said, 4-mark questions, the directive words are distinguish between, explain, describe, define. Those tend to be the 4 markers. So there's a distinguish between short-run and long-run economic growth, describe and understand the different stages of the economic cycle, define the multiplier and explain what determines its size, and that's about it really on that first one. So on that basis, it would be reasonable to assume that the possible 4-mark questions for extract 1 will be one of distinguish between short-run and long-run growth, describe and understand the different stages of the economic cycle, define the national income multiplier, and explain what determines its size. All for 4 marks each. Pretty straightforward questions really. So let's move on then, because extract 1 is quite a long extract, and therefore it might also be reasonable to assume that question 1b, which you'll remember would be an analyse question, might also come from extract 1. And again, the procedure for identifying potential questions is the same. So we're looking to the specification, but now we're looking for the directive word analyse. So we're in the same section again, macroeconomic performance. Here we're looking for analyse. So there's an analyse, and scrolling down looking for other directive words which are analyse. Here we've got another one here. Analyse the significance of policy rules, targets and constraints in promoting stability, growth and competitiveness. Based on that, again, I think the following questions would be reasonable ones to prepare for and to anticipate for 6 marks each. Analyse the reasons why the UK's economic recovery is not sustainable. Analyse the constraints on the UK's economy. Analyse the extent to which the concerns identified by John Van Reenen may restrain the long-term economic growth prospects of the UK economy. Each of those for 6 marks. So that's extract 1. So now we need to look to extract 2, and we know that probably in extract 1 we've already covered questions 1a, define question for 4 marks, and 1b, analysis question for 6 marks. So now we're really into the heavyweights, if you will. We're into the 10-mark comment questions. So let's just remind ourselves what extract 2 is all about. So in the first half we've got this little section on UK net trade and international competitiveness, and a nice chart there showing the quarterly values for the UK trade position since 2009 through to quarter 1 of 2013. Worth pointing out obviously that that is in deficit for each and every quarter, and obviously 2010 there, if you do a cumulative total of each of the quarters, you'll find that that one is the worst. You should find that the cumulative quarters for every year, they'll be in and around the sort of 25 to 30 billion pounds mark in terms of the value of the deficit. And then scrolling down, beneath that we then got a whole section really from here right the way to the end of this is all on supply side policies. So obviously you need to brush up on your knowledge of supply side policies, be able to apply those, and it would be very surprising really if you didn't get a question focusing on supply side policies. So again, we need to consider which area of the specification we're going to be looking at here. So we've got a little bit on net trade obviously, in terms of imports and exports and all that type of thing. So there's a little bit of that here, analyse the effects of international trade. But I think again really we're going to be looking at something in this section, the macroeconomic performance section, because that's where it covers things like supply side policies, international competitiveness, as you can see here, balance of payments position, and so on. So let's have a little think about what questions we might be asked here. Once again, the thing to do is to read the spec and to try and map it against the extract material against the specification. It's also worth this is a little newspaper article just published about 10 days ago, just giving the most up-to-date UK trade deficit number. So 2014, 34.8 billion, the biggest gap since 2010, sort of reinforcing that data that we have in extract 2 of the pre-release material. So I think the following questions for 10 would be reasonable to anticipate and prepare for. Comment on the extent to which supply side reforms can be expected to improve the UK's net trade position. Comment on the extent to which supply side reforms might rebalance the UK economy. Comment on whether rebalancing the economy away from consumption and towards investment would make economic growth more sustainable. I think it's worth noting that at previous examiners' meetings for this unit, the exam board have said that they do want candidates to refer more specifically to the data in the extracts. So do try and use that data when you're creating your answer. Do include, even if it's just to say we can see from the data that from 2010 through to quarter 1 2013, the UK's trade position is consistently in a deficit position. Do try in some way to refer to that data. Okay, so that's me done on extract 2, and I hope to bring you extract 3, 4 and 5 obviously in the coming weeks, and also I will try to put up some standard answers to each of these questions in the weeks ahead. So good luck with your revision, and I'll be back again in a week or two's time.